hope everyone's as excited as the committee is just about the sheer turnout and the beautiful day and the wonderful reason we're here. And the first thing I have to say to all of you is welcome. Welcome home to Hampton Park. Monsignor Williams is going to give our opening prayer.
Let us pray. O gracious and loving God, in the plan of creation, you have created spaces and times in which we can indeed recreate in your image and likeness. You have given us this day as a gift to be lived. May we use it well, and may everything we do this day be to the praise and glory of your name. We ask this through the God living and reigning forever and ever. Amen.
Now, while today we want to remember and honor Miss McMean, we also want everybody to have a good time. And the idea is not how formal can we make today, but how relaxed and how enjoyable can it be for everybody here. Part of that is going to be Michael Young. You all might have seen Michael in the newspaper. There's a very large picture of him. He was in charge of publicity. He thought that meant how much publicity could he get for Michael, not how much could he get for the occasion. But he did mention Miss McMean, and which was we appreciate that. Michael has done a little research on the nicknames of Hampton Park, and we thought it'd be fun, and we thought it'd call back some memories of your friends to hear some of these nicknames, and that's what we're going to do next. Michael?
I see people here today with ties on who I've never seen in shoes before. There's a couple of things. One, I had about 100 nicknames. There's probably 25% of those I can't say, and the reason I won't be able to mention those is out of respect for Miss McMahon. She'd have kicked me off the park for 2 weeks for saying some of them. Also, the clergy and the ladies present prohibit me from doing that. Also, my mom's here today, and she'd probably wash my mouth out with soap if I said some of those things. But at any rate, I started writing these things down a few years ago, and y'all will remember the names. The bad names, keep them to yourself. Let's don't hear them for another 40 or 50 years. I had to break these things out into groups because of the large number. We had the old standards: Junior, Bubba, Bubsy, Buck, Bucky, Buddy, Butch, Chuck, Skipper, Skippy, Sonny, and Pee-wee. I know he's here. We had a lot of people that were named after animals. Beaver, I was Beaver. Leonard Sing Sing Singletary called me that because I look like the Ipana toothpaste beaver. Bird, toad, cockroach, well that's a nice one. Crow, dog, fish, duck, gator, horse, horse head, mouse, red dog, skeeter, spider, and buffalo. I saw him here. I know buffalo's here. We named a lot of people after food products. We had bean head, cream, eggy, fatback, melon head, a lot of head problems. Peaches, Peasy, Pickle. I know Pickle's here. Spud. Spud had multiple nicknames. He was also known as Wingnut. Strawberry, Tater, and Weenie. Anybody remember Weenie? A few of the names resulted from physical features or some talent people had. We had a guy named Finger. We had Hurler, Razor, Red, Rock, Rocky, Speed, Stick. I don't know how I get Speed Stick together. I got a deodorant thing going on there. Tarzan, who lived in the park over here, and nobody knew his real name. And that gets us back to Wingnut again. Some of these things couldn't be defined. We had Bingo, Bosco, Bum, Cagey, Dingo, Flossie, Hack, Joker. Joker sitting right here. Keyhole. I don't even want to tell you how he got that name. we had Moocher, Rinky, Scooter, and here's what, Scrib. Now, Scrib didn't come to the playground. Scrib's 2 blocks up at Ark Lounge. Now, we have the Hampton Park Alumni Association, and after you graduated and moved on to higher learning, you went to Professor Scrib up here at the campus on Grove Street. We've got got several graduate students who are still up there. It's taken a while to get done. Professor Russell Green now runs that college up there. Some of our guys were involved in things concerning the law. For example, if you live in Mount Pleasant and you want to change a law or have a law enacted, and you want to talk to old Hampton Park boy about helping you out, you can go see Town Councilman Beanhead over there. He'll help you out. In the city, if you have a run-in with the law, you need some help, it would be good to go down and talk to Captain Peasy. He's on the police force. And if you need advice regarding the law, it'd be great. These guys don't have a firm together. Would it be wonderful if you could go to the firm of Bingo, Dingle, Stick, and Red Dog, attorneys at law. To conclude, we also had a group that sounds like the Seven Dwarfs. Chubby, dopey, droopy, grumpy, squeaky, wimpy, and stinky. Thank you.
Like every family, there was more than a mother. Certainly Ms. McMean was a mother to everybody here during her tenure at Hampton Park, but there were other people who were also very, very important. Don Marilla is going to make an announcement and present a plaque. We have 3 or 4 people who, fortunately, all of whom are with us today, and we want to recognize them as making major contributions in our lives, just like Ms. McMean did at the same time. Donald? Now, I'm a little concerned when all of y'all hear that Donald is going to announce for office. And I'm tempted to say the next, but I don't really know what he might be running for. He's not supposed to announce for office.
Gary stole my thunder. I told you it was some good news that I wasn't going to be running for office. Yeah, I know that. But being one of the younger Hampton Park guys out here, this guy that I'm going to present this plaque to is the epitome of what we looked up to. He was quiet. His leadership ability was beyond approach. And he was just a good guy. We could go to ask him for advice and he'd give it to us. Now, when we wasn't playing baseball or playing in the house, football, or playing rook, all of us stood on this corner one time or another where the drugstore was. And when you didn't have nothing to do, you looked over there and that's where the guys was hanging out. And so it's just my honor and privilege that I present this plaque, and I got to know this guy. It's funny the way life is. I looked for him about 8 years ago. He just got on my mind. And I missed him by one house. And he still stays in the same house that he was born in and raised in. And he goes to the VA hospital, and I work with the VA. And I happened to find out where he was at. And I went by, and we grew in friendship and love. And he's a good guy, I'm going to tell you. And it really means a lot to me. And for what he stands for and all the adversities he's been through, he still hangs in there. And that reminds me of the Hampton Park gang. And it's just a privilege. I'm going to get away from the speaker because I got to go to him. It's just a privilege that I present this to Bobby Joe Campbell. It's the Bobby Joe channel, and we got it, Bobby Joe. In recognition and in gratitude for your many years of guidance and friendship you provided as an athlete on the playground and as a fellow drugstore cowboy on the corner, October 3rd, 1999, from you guys from Hampton Park.
Kenny Walters is going to speak with us next, and I don't think there's any doubt in anybody's mind who Kenny's coming up to talk about our friend Lukey.
Thank you, Gordon. It gives me great pleasure to present this plaque to a close and dear friend. Wherever Miss McMean was on the playground, this person was not far behind. Anyone who was a part of the Hampton Park group in the 50s and 60s had to be touched by the determination and courage of this man. He was a loyal New York Yankee fan and was the greatest rook player in the city of Charleston and Hampton Park. But more than that, he's an example to each of us of how to make the most of what you have been given in life. I present this plaque to Louis Elmo Lukey Douglas. I'm going to read what it says here for Lukey. In recognition of 40 years as the world's greatest rook player and in appreciation for many years of dedicated service as Charleston's best baseball umpire. October 3rd, 1999.
I really don't know. There's a lot of people here that are sort of not from our generation, and it's sort of hard for you all to feel and understand just how important these two fellows were to us as young people. The kindness and the courtesies and the image they gave us, their ability to strive and to contribute in our lives is just hard to estimate and no way to thank you all for. Now, there was a fellow who started off on the mall. Not always good things don't come from people who start off on the mall. I mean, that's not any easy place to start. But Joe Buckeaster is going to tell us about one of the more successful and wonderful fellows from the mall.
Thank you, Jimmy. I think you stole my thunder. I believe everyone now knows who we're talking about. The next gentleman, and let me emphasize the word gentleman, really needs no introduction. Back in the 50s and 60s, when I was coming along, we were all coming on this playground, in our eyes, more popular and better well known than at that time the mayor of Charleston. Mayor, that was for your time. When we were planning on who was going to be introducing who at this occasion, Don Morrell said, hey, I want to introduce this guy because he gave me my first job. Jerry McNay said, well, let me introduce him because he gave me my first job. I said, well, I want to introduce him also because he gave me my first job. As a scorekeeper, the Little League Diamond right over there, $1.50 a game, 5 games a week, $7.50. Tell you, with that lucky, I'll always be appreciative. He's probably remembered most that orange station wagon, pulling up these playgrounds, big old city of Charleston, Emerald on the side, stepping out. I can see it right now. Lockie getting out, kids of all ages running up to Lockie. Lockie always greets with a warm smile, pat on the back, his arm around your shoulder. Always had a story for you. I was talking with Charlie Slippergrill the other day at the dentist office. Charlie says he'll always remember coming up to Lockie one day, Lockie reaching in his pocket and pulling out a piece of bazooka bubble gum, handing it to Charlie, said, Charlie, this is what the big leaguers chew. That story and many other stories I guarantee can be remembered by all these guys ahead of day. But two of my favorites that I'll always remember Lockie for, as Gabby said, Lockie was one of the coaches always on the ball playground, grew up on the ball. And he had a team one day and he was coaching baseball at the time. Told one of his guys, he said, I want you to steal second base. He did, took it home with him that night. There was a time Lockie tells me he had a basketball game. Lockie said, now look here, he said, I want you to stick with this guy wherever he goes. He did. Followed the boy home for dinner that night. Last year, we all know Lockie was inducted into the Channel 5 Hall of Fame. And I'm sure the city of Charleston had a Hall of Fame. Lockie Thackeray would be one of the first inductees. Lockie, you have touched the lives of many. And like our parents, you always taught us right from wrong. I'll ask now, you and Miss Ruby, your lovely and devoted wife of many, many years, come forward as we present you this plaque. Lockie, I'm going to read this to George Lockwood Thackeray, better known as Mr. Lockie. In appreciation for your many years of dedication to all the children and employees who played and worked on the playgrounds of the city of Charleston. Special thanks from those in the mall, your boyhood home park, and Hampton Park Playground, where your sons played as boys. October 3rd, 1999, the Hampton Park Alumni Association. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Come on, story, Lockie.
Come on, Lockie. You say something. Right here in the mic.
I don't care about that.
Well, if you hate me, you say it in the mic. Say it in the mic.
I have a connection with look at my pretty girls right there. There's Molly Sanders. Anyway, Kenny Ballard.
Thank you for 31 years.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hearing Joe read out that the plaque was from the Hampton Park Alumni Association reminded me we didn't start off as the Hampton Park Alumni Association. We started off as the Hampton Park Gang. And after about 3 appearances before city boards and councils, they decided they really did think it was better if we were something other than the Hampton Park Gang. So we quickly changed our name. We got a little surprise next, and Freddie McMean's going to tell us about that. No, Jerry's going to tell us about that.
I have to remind you all that I am the youngest one. Back about in the mid-50s, the city playground department decided to send a young man out to Hampton Park. This is the decision, I'm sure, of Lockie Thackeray and Nolly Sams and Tom Hutto. And they sent a boy who was, we didn't know if he was a Moultrie boy or a Hampton Park boy because he lived on both playgrounds. You know, rent comes due pretty often. So they sent this young man out who wasn't very much older than the rest of us. But he quickly established himself as our coach, our leader, and our friend. And over the years, he has had a very successful career in business. And no matter how much time passes between your last meeting, he is still truly your friend. He was well thought of by my mother and by everybody on the committee whom he all happened to coach. I would like to present this plaque to the shortest center the College of Charleston has ever had, John M. Jordan, Jr. I may read the plaque, John M. Jordan, Jr. Johnny, an appreciation for sharing 40 years of wit and wisdom and as an outstanding coach of the Hampton Park Playground teams of the past and as a good friend of the Hampton Park alumni up to date. Put me in, Coach. October 3rd, 1999, Hampton Park Alumni Association. Well, I did not know that was going to happen, and I do have a part in the program. But I must say, as I was walking around before we started, quite a few people said, "What are you nuts wearing suits for?" And most of you making presentation. Well, my thought was, and the alumni group that met, what we decided is, as a group, we knew Ms. McMahon would really be happy to see us finally all in suits together. Growing up on the playground, very few of us ever wore a suit, and the reason was most of us couldn't afford to buy one. So, Ms. McMahon, this is for you. I did have a unique opportunity of not only being one of Aunt Jane's boys during my teenage years, but I got to work as her assistant director of the playground when I was in college. I saw the love that Aunt Jane had for children from both viewpoints, and it really was extraordinary.
I know she is pleased at what we're doing today in naming this playground after her. But I tell you, she's even much, much happier knowing that there will be a scholarship that will help youngsters in the future. Thanks to the generous donations of all of you here, the Hampton Park Alumni Group is officially announcing the establishment of the Genevieve McMahon Scholarship. We started out with a goal to raise $10,000. Before I got here today, we had already raised over $9,000, and I'll promise you my pockets are full of little envelopes that people gave me, so there's no doubt we have made and exceeded this goal. And we can officially say that as long as there is a Genevieve McMahon Playground, as long as there are established youth programs on this playground, at least one youngster who comes to this playground every summer will now get to go to an organized basketball camp free of charge in honor of Ms. McMahon. Our hope and our reason for doing this was not only to allow some youngster to be a better athlete, but hopefully that youngster would be motivated by the ideals of Aunt Jane, and as the generations go on, they would help others help others. I would like to finish by saying, as these contributions came in, and we're still taking them, but as these contributions came in, it was amazing the number of people who would send letters or a little note to talk about Aunt Jane and how she touched their lives. So what we have done is to make up a little book of memories of all of these notes and letters that came in, and I'd like to end my part by presenting it to children Judy, Jerry, and Freddie. And thank you all very much.
You all have heard from several different people. I want to tell you who the committee is that sort of made this thing happen. Of course, Johnny Jordan. Chubby Baker's in charge of getting all the chairs and getting the tent and the microphone, etc. And he's been a big help. Kenny and Joe Buck, Michael Young, Eric Fosberg, and Michael Rooney was a big money raiser. In addition to that, City Council was very helpful in allowing this to happen in various subcommittees, and Matt Compton and Paul Wieters, who work for the city, were very helpful and important to us. But I think it's fair to say to all Charlestonians, without Mayor Riley, this could not have happened. Fortunately for us, Mayor Riley knew Aunt Jan himself, so selling him on the idea of naming the park was an easy task, and it really could not have happened without him. We're going to hear a few words from the mayor, and then he's going to invite the McMahon children up to unveil the stone, and then the day's festivities are over. Thank you.
I've observed some subtle efforts to shorten my remarks before, but never has anybody said something will happen in a second when I'm getting ready to speak. I read a little bit longer than that, but not too long. In life, every now and then, something happens where you feel like maybe you've really arrived, and I want you to know that's how I feel today, because in my wildest dreams as a Moultrie playground boy did I ever think that I'd be able to preside at an event at Hampton Park. This is a real sense of arrival for me. I got a little dizzy walking across the playground. I was parked over there by the First Federal, and about a third of the way across the playground I got a little dizzy, because that's precisely where I was knocked unconscious during a Bishop England football practice by Stinky, who was out there. And what was bad about that was that he was a great guy, but during practice he was a great big fella. Coach, a former football coach is here, Henry Miller, and he would be kind of easy in practice, except unfortunately when his father came to watch practice. And then if you were going up against Stinky, you'd likely get knocked unconscious. And then Daddy would go back to work and everything would be okay. I'd like to recognize Councilmember Robert Mitchell, in whose district we are and who was a great supporter of this. I know Councilmember Yvonne Evans was coming. Is Yvonne here? Well, she's here. There she is, right back there. Let's give her a round of applause. Do we have any other members of council here? Well, they were all most supportive of this, and we're very proud of it. Gedney's father, Big Gedney Howe, used to say in trying to pick a jury, and in picking a jury, you're not interceding with them, but you try to determine what their inclinations might be relative to the particular case that would be put before them. And Gedney would always want to try to understand who the potential juror would feel they had to report to, because we all report to someone. We report to our spouses, or to our parents, or to our children, or to our bosses, or to our co-workers, or to our friends or neighbors. We all feel that responsibility of accountability to those who touch our lives. And that is important. It's a wonderful part of human nature. But children, particularly children the ages that are on playgrounds, children that are old enough to be out of the house, but not so old that they have complete freedom, these extraordinarily formative years that really largely shape their personality and influence their future, those children desperately need people to report to, because a child is like a sapling growing, and to grow straight it needs to be pruned and nourished and cultivated and cared for. Today we celebrate a quintessential role model in terms of a person who had the innate skill to make children feel accountable to her, and through that to shape their lives. Mrs. McMahon, as I called her, Aunt Jim to many of you, was known by you during a relatively brief period in your life. Quickly, I'd like to remind you of all of her life so you will completely understand the marvelous woman who influenced your lives. She was born in 1911 around the corner on Fishman Street. She was a wonderful athlete herself, active and successful in every sport. She and her sister often met for the local tennis championships. She was married to a great athlete and a wonderful leader in our community, and as you know, has raised through 3 marvelous children. Some may argue about that with the boys, but certainly Judy is. In the early 40s, Corinne Jones, another marvelous role model, asked Mrs. McMahon if she would come help out at Hampton Park. She had 3 young children then, and she came in the early 40s and never left. She was most of the kids who came to Hampton Park's first coach, whether it was baseball, basketball, football, track, tennis, ping pong, kickball, whether it was ruck, whether it was stretching. Amazingly, a tiny budget for arts and crafts, teaching kids to make bracelets and molds and Indian heads and so much more. She was a basketball coach at Bishop England High School, active physical education coach, and a great leader in her church and in her community. And she died at age 86, as Jerry said so fittingly, on Carolina Day. She had enormous presence. She had that capacity. It exuded from her. And to the children who came here, she was another mother, an aunt. She was a father, a friend, a coach, a disciplinarian, a picker-upper when they needed it, a cheerleader, a role model, and so much more. She helped make this area not a geographic part of our city, but a neighborhood. The great writer of cities, Jane Jacobs, often speaks about those characteristics of cities that when it's really working, it is a sense of neighborhood, those 1,000 invisible strands of affection and respect and accountability that tie people to each other. She helped us understand the importance of taking responsibility for each other. And I'd like to read one letter which is in the notebook, I'm sure. I happen to know this was signed in the real name, but I happen to know this letter was from Red Dog. And it says as follows. Dear Johnny and other alumni, as you know, I practically lived in the park from age 8 till the age of 18. Mrs. McMahon helped me almost on a daily basis. Looking back, she was one of the best influences on my young life. The best part about her love was that she would also let you know when you were going wrong and attempt to set you straight. Once when I was about 12, one of the other park boys gave me a black eye. Ms. McMahon looked at my eye, examined it to see if I could see okay, and then she said, I've been watching you, and you need to try to get along with others a little more. You probably deserve that shiner. End quotes. His letter continues, I was looking for a little sympathy. I didn't get sympathy, but I got what I really needed at the time, to be straightened out a little. Often as I look back on the many happy years spent on Hampton Park, and Mrs. McMahon was the heart and soul of the park, I know she helped hundreds of other boys and girls as she helped me. It's safe to say that every child who came through Hampton Park while Mrs. McMahon was here picked up something from her that was life-shaping, something that she probably never understood she was giving, and maybe subconsciously the child didn't either. But those characteristics and influences and examples that we draw on later in life, it's a reservoir that helps us be the kind of people we should. For me, I'll never forget that Bishop England football camp, after a grueling morning of practice, we'd come through for breakfast. Mrs. McMahon would be down there volunteering, and she wouldn't give you your grits or eggs until you smiled. And I thought, and that was 40-some years ago, and but I still think about that in my life, the importance of a smile and being friendly and being upbeat and optimistic. In the wonderful movie about Goodbye, Mr. Chips, as you recall, the wonderful headmaster in England, and he worked at the school for all of his life, and his wife died tragically. He didn't have any children, and as he was on his deathbed, one of the teachers, well, the teachers were hanging around, and they said, you know, it's too bad that Mr. Chips never had any boys, and he was hearing them. They didn't know it, and he opened his eyes, and he said, yes, I did. They were all my boys. Well, Mrs. McMahon had 3 wonderful children, blessed by that, and she passed her wonderful lessons on to them. But for every child who came through Hampton Park, Genevieve Canapo McMahon was their mother as well. So today we dedicate this park in her honor, a fitting tribute to a life of giving to young people. But in addition to honoring her, it is our hope, it should be our hope, that this monument here will force people to ask in years to come why this playground was honoring this woman. And in finding out, they will be reminded of the responsibility that each of us have to guide and give accountability to the children of our lives. Thank you very much. I'd now like to ask Jerry and Judy and Freddie to come up and help me unveil the marker.
It's been a wonderful day. Thank you for coming. Relax and enjoy yourself.
Can't say anything other than fantastic lady. Thank you. Night that is dedicated to Miss McMahon. She was an integral part of all our lives, and I think helped us and probably where we are today because of her efforts. A lot of questions were asked today and a lot of things were said about Ms. McMahon. One of the things I would like to have is a show of hands of those who were actual Hampton Park alumni during Ms. McMahon's time here. And when they put them down, I want them to ask to see how many have never been kicked off the park by her, because anybody who raised their hand for that question, they had to be a liar. We had a great time. We love Ms. McMahon. I'm Robert Johnson. Miss McMahon is probably my second mother and did everything that my other mother didn't do when I was on the playground. She taught me everything from arts and crafts, paddle tennis, running track, playing baseball, ping pong, you name it. And I was pretty good at just about all of them, but everything, all my thanks really goes to her. This is a great dedication.